We can fit so many landfall triggers inside this bad boy. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And Sean gave me a ton of Dealer's Choice donation deck lists, thank you Sean. And I am going to use one of them to play a deck that I saw in, I believe, the top 8 or top 16 of a challenge event from this weekend, built very heavily around Iridescent Vinelasher. So this creature has landfall, deal 1 damage to target opponent, and very notably, it is a 1/2, so it lives through an Orcish Bowmaster trigger. It also has offspring. When you cast this, you can pay an additional 2. If you do, when this creature enters, you create a 1/1 token copy of it. So this means that if you have done the offspring ability, and you have something like a fetch land, 2 damage, fetch, 2 damage. That turns every fetch land into 4 damage, potentially turning a Life from the Loam into a 12 damage spell over the course of a couple of turns. Landfall has really gotten some love recently, with Springheart Nantuko being a major part of Legacy now, especially alongside Gaea's Cradle. And if you have the ability to bestow onto your Vinelasher, you can potentially tap your Gaea's Cradle, make a copy of the Vinelasher, and then really ramp up the amount of direct damage that you are capable of doing. Free Strider Lookout is really cool with Iridescent Vinelasher. Whenever you commit a crime, which is targeting your opponents, anything they control, or cards in their graveyard, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped, put the rest on the bottom. This only triggers once each turn. So you can potentially landfall, trigger the Vinelasher, which triggers the Free Strider Lookout, which can get you a land, which can trigger the Vinelasher, which is not going to trigger Free Strider Lookout again, unless you then get something like a fetch land, and you can do it on your opponent's turn. This only triggers once per turn, but you can do it on your turn and then your opponent's turn as well. So this is essentially a green-black Life from the Loam mid-range deck. We are going to be very bad against combo. We are hoping to fight against fair stuff here. We can do some things like have an Elvish Reclaimer or a White of the Reliquary Bog our opponents if there is graveyard-oriented combo running around. But if you take a look at the sideboard here, almost everything in the sideboard is dedicated to anti-combo stuff. Be that 6 pieces of graveyard hate, 4 pieces of discard. So generally speaking, we are hoping to play a mid-range game and grind our opponents out today. If we queue into Storm 5 times, I'm going to be unhappy. Let's jump into the matches and see how this deck performs. Should you need any Iridescent Vinelashers or any other new cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Tales of Adventure always gives you free shipping online. I've been very happy with their card quality and super happy with their shipping speed. Promo code ThrabenU will also save you 5% on all of your orders with them. And if you're going to a major event like MagicCon Vegas, you can get your stuff online and pick it up on site. Let's battle. All right, we are playing against Delthar, who is the one who designed the cat deck that I recently showed off for this channel. My opening hand here is perfectly fine. We get a Vinelasher on turn 1. I can trigger some amount of damage off it over the next few turn cycles before getting Free Strider Lookout going with it as an engine. All right, please don't be combo. Please just be cats. Fuck. This ain't good, folks. This ain't good. Echo of Eons. Okay, it's not deterministic combo. Ooh, my opponent is playing Orcish Bowmasters alongside these draw 7s. So it is at least a little bit spicy still. But we have 0 game 1 interaction for combo outside of killing our opponents or wastelanding lands. So no bueno, basically. Pass turn, pass turn, pass turn. Storm 7, pass turn. What is that? Is that Song of Creation? That is Song of Creation, absolutely. 1 card remaining. Does it kill me? Yes, it does. So my opponent can crack their LED, activate Wishclaw Talisman. This is going to tutor up a Tendrils of Agony, and we are dead at a storm count of 11. GG's. Thoughtseize is the best tool that I have for this matchup. Orcish Bowmasters is perfectly fine and good. Haywire Might has text. This targets specifically for the lookout, which is why we're playing this over other options. This is expensive for what it does. The surgicals and endurances are not exactly great. It is very hard to get priority to get these to disrupt. But I have so little going on that I'll probably do these. I don't know about this one. So, Fatal Push. Largely irrelevant. Sometimes it does things with Bowmasters, but I think I am just going to not here. I'm just simply not going to do that. Maze of Ith does not really matter here. I could potentially shave a Talon Gates of Madara. It is just a colorless land for our purposes here for the most part. I don't think I want to shave more lands than that. This is not really an expedition map matchup. And then I probably get rid of some number of these cards to just lower my curve. But also maybe go down a life from the loam. What's your base power? 3/3. This is a base 2/2. Less expensive. Let's do that. The life gain, I guess, technically matters. The haste is probably what I am searching for here. And then, let's trim another life from the loam. Oh, we're a 61 card special. Don't even need to trim more. Mox Diamond, play Vinelasher, have no landfall. Mulligan. Elvish Reclaimer, no follow-up. Mulligan. So, at some point I have to start thinking about keeping hands that look like this. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5. My opponent has kept 7. That's not great for me. I don't have like access to like something like Collector Hoof that just slams a hard no on this game. I'm going to say that this is a very reluctant keep. It technically has a degree of interaction. Ugh. Let's buy you a Singleton Life from the Loam that's currently in the deck, getting hyper punished by this Leyline. All right, opponent not shocking in. I imagine that's just my opponent playing out things in case I randomly have some sort of Sphere of Resistance, Thorn of Amethyst type card. So yeah, let's just always yield to that. Heal our 1, go to combat, hit for 1, 18. I think I am still willing to blow this up, even though I can't bring it back with Life from the Loam in a minute, and we'll play out another creature. I get another land, I can start trying to do some cute pickup fetch land things with this Vinelasher, but otherwise I just have 2 damage per turn cycle as a clock, and it's not that strong. This is just a land right now, unfortunately. We'll go 1 damage, send in for 1 damage, and hold back Reclaimer. Reclaimer can pick up something like a fetch land or a Gaea's Cradle. My Reclaimer won't be getting larger. Hopefully that's not a real problem. Ooh. Haywire Might resolves. Now Mox Opal is on for Metalcraft purposes. Let's turn Boseiju into a different land. Could just be Wasteland. It could just be Wasteland for right now. Deal 1 damage. Never didn't have it. So 1 damage. Wasteland that. I now have 3 mana available to Endurance. So I can go ahead and just attack with my creatures here for a whopping 2 points of damage. Now my opponent can end up sacrificing their Haywire Might to pick up a little bit of extra life at some point. Not sending in Haywire Might in combat is, I think, very reasonable. And while I normally might be holding this Endurance as Graveyard Hate, I am trying to end my opponent here. And I will put the lands back into their deck, I suppose. We could have something like a Cabal Ritual to worry about. Probably not, but we could. So let's make my plan here. Thoughtseize you. Veil of Summer. Sure. I think I'm going to send this. I think it's better to hold back Elvish Reclaimer than I am representing Bojuka Bog while also just potentially having the ability to get a fetch land, get a bunch of Vinelasher triggers or something as well. Yet another Wasteland that can eat an Urza Saga. I am definitely worried about just dying though. Again, we don't have good tools for the combo matchups. Our ideal matchup is like some sort of slower up the beanstalk control type thing. All right, something's happening. There is a Wishclaw Talisman. Am I dead this turn or next turn? Not this turn. End of turn. Activate this. Junk the Bayou. Pick up a fetch land. Am I always just killing the following turn? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 this turn. Yeah, I'm always just going to kill the following turn. Fetch land's fine. So I am now going to set an upkeep stop on my turn, I think. And upkeep, fetch, take a Bayou out of the deck. Take my landfall trigger now. Thin the deck ever so slightly. Mox Diamond, not what I am looking for. So yeah, and yeah. But I think we're coming up just short here. Like I have one more damage on a stick off Elvish Reclaimer, but it's turn 6 and I've barely disrupted my opponent. So I am fully expecting to be dead here. I cared about my colored mana this game. If I didn't care about my colored mana, I could be doing something like grabbing Urza's Saga. Like that is something I could have done earlier. Oh, just Leyline Helm combo me. Yes. And there is the activation. So I can deal 1 more damage to my opponent, and then I just get milled out. Well, I guess I can technically do 2. I can get the fetch land and then do it. Phasing this out doesn't do what I want it to do. It doesn't get me to recycle this. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to keep your online deck lists. And one of the things that I love about them is that you can use it to keep track of what cards you do and don't have for a deck. So for example, in this deck list, I have all of the cards, so there are nice blue bubbles filled in here, and that's automatically ported over to your collection tab, where you can see exactly what cards you do and don't have. Okay, I am on the draw. I have maybe a below average Urza Saga hand. I don't think I'm interested in keeping this one. I have a bunch of good 1-drops. This is fine. Mox Diamond, probably discard Bojuka Bog. The hand's a keep. It's just a question of like what card goes back. I like keeping all 3 of these and these 2 lands. I think I can get rid of the Bojuka Bog. A Force of Negation, very specifically on Life from the Loam, would be awkward. All right, Forest, Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland. I think I am just going to Life from the Loam this turn. Then I can dredge this to start getting access to other cool lands. Though I don't know how much cooler than just Wasteland we are going to get. We might be playing against a Nadu deck. I think that's a reasonable hypothesis here. See, Sylvan Library. Haven't seen that one in a hot minute. That's a dangerous card in an Orcish Bowmaster's world. I'm good with dredging here. Urza Saga. That's fantastic. So I think let's start generating some value. Wasteland. Let's just always yield to this. And I think despite the fact that my opponent has a Sylvan Library, so like 1-for-1 trades aren't the best versus my opponent, I think I am still just down for this. And we let landfall triggers and wastelands bury my opponent. And we'll see how many basic lands my opponent has. Ooh, that is not a sign of strength here. So my opponent has fetched a Surveil land. They did not use an end of turn like Swords to Plowshares or something of that nature to remove this Nantuko. They are going to take an extra card. Ooh, it is Infect. So Life from the Loam for Wasteland going to be pretty good here. But what I am currently doing is not going to beat, like, Lighted Agent specifically. Life from the Loam, 3 targets. Yeah. The Great Daze, Great Force of Will. Pitching Daze. I did not want to return this land. And I think I am not doing any attacks here. It's going to pass the turn, leave back as many bodies as possible for Glistener Elf. Although I suspect that Ink Moth Nexus is somewhat likely to kill me if my opponent forced a Life from the Loam. Yeah, my sideboard Bowmasters are going to be very good. Opponent down to 10, keeping another card. All right, Glistener Elf coming in as a 2/2. How do I feel about double blocking? Not great. I don't think that ends well for me. I think I'm just going to chump block. Sometimes some degree of Invigorate Berserk stuff just means that my opponent kills me from this position. If I single block, oh sure. Not dredging this life from the loam. Fetch land. That's 2 blockers. Is that better than getting back Wasteland for Inkmoth Nexus? These things are problems. I am going to say that that is better short term. So yeah, and yeah. Get a Bayou here. Take this body now. The lookout is pretty insane in this position. Hardcast Daze could counter this, but it doesn't. I'm going to pass the turn. I think if it makes it to my turn and I start doing Wasteland nonsense, I am in really good shape. So my opponent needs like land, Invigorate, Berserk, or equivalent to kill me with Inkmoth Nexus. We're hoping to dodge this turn. That is an animated tapped Inkmoth Nexus. Legolas's quick reflexes for hexproof. So when this attacks, it can now fight something. There is Invigorate. There is Invigorate. That is only 9. That is not lethal. So, oh, the Exalted is lethal though. That takes out my Lookout, which was my Reach creature as well. Yeah, no, I thought we were pretty safe there. Not 100% safe, obviously, but that was removal spell, pump spell, pump spell. All right, Bowmasters in, Dismembers in, Thoughtseizes are okay. Haywire Might technically has some text, but is unexciting. Shadowspear very bad in this matchup. The rest of the cards are reasonable. Talon Gates of Madara and Maze of Ith, quite good here. Expedition Map's very slow. This is a reach creature for Inkmoth. It's card advantage. This comes online earlier. I think I care about being lower to the ground here. So this is dude into dude. If I untap, I then have access to Maze of Ith. This is not exciting. Doesn't feel great. I think I'm going to keep it anyway. Like, I have something that blocks an initial Glistener Elf. That is worth something. I technically have something that can answer an Inkmoth Nexus. Yeah, slower start is what we want to see here. Ooh, that's not bad. I am happy with that. So, landfall. Make a friend. We are not getting dazed right now. I'm going to go ahead and attack here. I would be fine trading this for an Invigorate. Or no, this is not even a forest, so Invigorate is not free currently. So my biggest problem with White of the Reliquary is that the land enters tapped, so I can't immediately go and get something like a Wasteland. White mana, sure. Scariest thing here is probably like a Blighted Agent. Yeah, there we go. That's real good. I think we are doing this around days. So I think we're going colorless, life. Our life total does not really matter much here. Cool. There's not an infect creature attacking me this turn. So we're just going to go ahead and put this into play. Or I will phase out your Noble Hierarch for the lulz. I think I am going to Life from the Loam with no targets to use my mana. Give myself the option to dredge up a Wasteland or equivalent and send in for 1. Depending on what my opponent does, I might not be interested in Life from the Loam immediately. Sure, Maze of Ith, not great versus Tamiyo, but very good versus Inkmoth Nexus. An opponent getting in a little bit of chip damage here. So, finding Wasteland is perfectly reasonable. Verdant Catacombs over there. I'll get it back. That's fine. But now I need to probably play Maze of Ith to represent a defensive option for Inkmoth Nexus. This is not going well. And Maze of Ith is not like the safest thing in the world. Legolas's quick reflexes offers my opponent the ability to just kind of beat that. So we are somewhat likely to get out mid-ranged this game unless I find something reasonable to do with the Life from the Loam. We will not take 1 damage. Brainstorm will flip Tamiyo. This 1 damage to any target, 1 damage to target opponent. So this cannot successfully deal damage to the Tamiyo. And Tamiyo on the Planeswalker side is not like super good, but when you are playing a bunch of low power creatures, the Tamiyo plus ability is noticeably good, whereas when you're playing larger things, you know, your Psychic Frogs, Murktide Regents, Nethergoyfs, you basically just ignore Cameo. I can't really do that here. Okay, not good for me. So I have onboard problems that are probably bigger than the Inkmoth Nexus. I don't think I'm dredging this time. All right, so yeah, we deal our 1 damage, and then I pass the turn. Don't have another play here. My opponent can now Tamiyo minus, get back the Swords to Plowshares, remove this creature, or prepare to remove an Urza Saga Construct token a little bit later on. Okay, opponent is going for the Brainstorm. That seems bad to me. That forces a flip on this Tamiyo if my opponent casts it. So my opponent is not actually getting their blue from this Tamiyo based on how they have sequenced this turn. I don't know their hand. I don't know how close to combo killing me they are, but I don't know that that was an optimal turn. Like, maybe if they are a card away from just killing me with Inkmoth Nexus through Maze of Ith, that, like, their line is still just correct. But it feels like that gave up value. Okay, so I don't mind finding Wasteland this turn. Not the best prospect. Fuck. Alright, so Landfall trigger, 1 damage. So 2 of this is for Urza Saga. I then have 2 mana. I can choose to Surveil land at end of turn, or I can just Life from the Loam, get back a fetch land. I think I'm going to Life from the Loam, get back a fetch land. Yeah, 1 damage. Life from the Loam, yeah, and yeah. Not finding Wasteland here for this Inkmoth is rough. Like, the Inkmoth is a lot of damage. If my opponent can force it through the Maze of Ith with some sort of Wasteland or Hexproof card or something. And the Tamiyo, yeah. So my opponent is now going to do the whole Legolas's quick reflexes thing to give it Hexproof. Yep, can't use the Maze of Ith currently on it. So my opponent can now Pendelhaven it, plus 2 Exalted triggers. Oh, they missed Pendelhaven. Get back Invigorate. Doesn't matter that they missed Pendelhaven. Yeah, so that's 9, 10, 11. Can't maze it, can't block it. Yeah, we had a decent number of chances at hitting a Wasteland, and we did not succeed at doing so. GG's. Alright, opening hand has a Mox Diamond, so it's likely to be pretty good. Discard. Let's not get Wastelanded immediately. A basic forest. Throwing down a white of the Reliquary. If we do this turn, I have some potentially good top decks. Opponent's a fan of the content. I hope you enjoy watching. Don't combo kill me. If you're a fan of the content, you can't combo kill me. Okay? That's fine. This is a combo deck we have some game against. We can interact with creatures and lands. Now, a Pyroblast effect is really damn good here. Oh, are they going to preemptively fire it off? That's so good for me if they do. Fuck yeah, I am so happy with this. Holy shit. We just got away with murder, folks. So that Red Elemental Blast could have countered the Fatal Push that is about to destroy this Painter's Servant. And now that's not going to happen. So instead, we now get to Wasteland this Ancient Tomb, Fatal Push the Painter's Servant out of play, and now I have Life from the Loam Wasteland. I have Bojuka Bog to clear the graveyard. This White of the Reliquary requires another creature in play to start looking for lands. This was not an immediately threatening card. And it's a base 2/2. It didn't even get through Painter's Servant. Grindstone is fine. So I don't think my opponent played their turn optimally. So now I get to, Ancestral, but with lands. Wasteland, take out Ancient Tomb number 2. This is a rough spot for my opponent. It's not unwinnable by any stretch of the imagination, but some basic mountains probably need to get involved sometime soon here. That is not a basic land. Vexing Bobble's fine. We're totally fine Life from the Loaming Wastelanding our opponent to death here. Pick up Wasteland, and then we'll go ahead and Wasteland the Badlands. If my opponent is playing Lion's Eye Diamond, there's still relatively easy theoretical kills here. Don't need to dredge Life from the Loam this turn. Still have plenty to do in terms of land drops. We Dryad Arboring. I think I'm always playing this land drop. I'm going to Mox Dime. Oh, fuck. Vexing Bobble. Right. got excited about 4 mana, put Talon Gates of Madara into play, and I punted a playable card that was about to be active. That's on me. Opponent and I have now both made an error this game. Goblin Engineer is fine. Putting a Painter Servant into Graveyard, I don't think that makes sense. There is already a Painter in Graveyard. Having 2 of those there probably does not gain my opponent anything. Let's Surveil land here. Vinelasher. Vinelasher is fine. We're going to put that on top. We're going to take that draw. I believe we are going to offspring this creature. So we get a 1/1 token copy of it. I'm going to Bojuka Bog, nuke those Painter Servants from my opponent's graveyard, and then next turn I can take out this Urza Saga. If my opponent gets a token out of it, I don't think that's the end of the world. Surveil land is not necessarily what my opponent's looking for here. The ETB tapped is a big problem right now. Now these Vinelashers are doing their job well. The Life from the Loam, 1, 2, 3 targets. Paying 2 mana, doing a Wasteland, which is worth 2 damage, and destroys Urza Saga. We're not 100% safe yet, but this is killing our opponent quickly. Painter Servant this turn into... Ooh, that's real good. Into activating next turn is strong. There is Painter Servant, so that can come back into play. So now I probably need to hold this up to phase out a Painter, so I'm not dredging. Ooh, yeah. Wait, is my opponent dead if I have 4 of these? 4, 8 direct damage? No. So we are casting this cast with Offspring for 3 mana. Then Gaea's Cradle alone taps for 4, which gives me the phase out ability. Holy shit. This deck is fucking awesome. We are popping the fuck off. So, Landfall, 4 damage. Our opponent's at 8. They don't have good combats through multiple Goblin Engineers. I'll just pass the turn. So there's an Ancient Tomb. Opponent is down to 6. Activate Grindstone. Target me. Hold priority. Earn Grindstone or Great Furnace into Painter Servant. So this ability resolves. Painter's in play. Everything is blue. Grindstone ability still on the stack. Talon Gates of Madara. Triggers. Take out the Painter's Servant. 4 direct damage to our opponent. Hot damn. That was so cool. Okay, versus Painter combo. Endurance is great. Haywire Might is probably nice as a tutor target. I think I like Dismembers to take opposing Painters off the table. I don't think I like the Claws here. I kind of want to clear specific things from my opponent's graveyard. I don't know that I'm going to board that in. I don't know that I need Shadow Spear. I don't know that I need Map. I think I can keep 2 Urza Saga targets outside of Mox Diamond and have that be okay. I, in theory, need 3 more cuts. My deck's perfect. How do I find cuts? Elvish Reclaimer's a little slow. The tutor for Bojuka Bog, so is White. White gets bigger in theory. Restrider's a little slow. This might be a time where I do something like bam, 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 rather than cutting anything. I just kind of keep access to stuff in lower numbers. Not confident about that, though. Well, I have mana, but I don't have anything to do with that mana. I don't think I'm into it. Mox Diamond is like very easily the best card in the deck, but I still need functional hands. This is slow colored mana. I think I can do better on 5. Bayou. Mox Diamond, discard Gaea's Cradle. Turn to potentially play Urza Saga and Lookout. This seems fine. Vexing Bauble is a thing that could occur to slow down Mox Diamond, so I don't think I want to keep 2 Mox Diamonds here. Opposing Urza's Saga and Soul Guide Lantern. Sure. Oh, fuck yeah. Do I just get rid of Urza Saga now? Just like keep Gaea's Cradle plus Nantuko? I don't really have anything to do with the extra mana though. Yeah, I don't really have anything to do with the extra mana right now. But despite the fact that that is like very clearly a good combo, I think I'm just into this. So, worst timeline is land drop into Painter and just Goldfish me next turn. Fuck. This does still require another mana source from the deck. It is not deterministic yet, but it's not looking good. So, Urza's Saga. Landfall trigger. Into lookout. Pass turn. Urza Saga can tutor up Grindstone, so if my opponent has another land, I am dead. There is the Grindstone, there is the other land, so assuming that my opponent activates it, they've got me. And we will concede here rather than show them our deck. I think that I am, generally speaking, trying to treat this as a mid-range matchup. I don't think I am going to Thoughtseize my opponent. I think I want to interact with their permanents instead of their hand. This is a very, very strong mid-range hand. I am going to keep this and hope that our opponent does not Goldfish us. But this is so many landfall triggers over the course of this game, and one Wasteland style draw just means that this Life from the Loam single-handedly wins the game. But we'll see what our opponent has for us. That'll pass. That's fine. So we'll do our re-combat land drop for 1 point of damage. Bash in for 1. Ooh, it is an Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. That was not necessarily something that I was expecting. These decks usually aren't that black, but I am taking their Lotus Petal. I think I am overall okay with that. Now I just have this around as well. Now that I know about the Orcish Bowmaster, I wish I had bestowed onto that for the +1/+1. That looks a little better for me in terms of optics. Is this just immediately cycling? No, it is a Painter's Servant. Okay, sure. Another Life from the Loam is not really what I want here. So let's Nantuko our Nantuko. This represents an answer to something like a Grindstone. This represents a much faster relevant card, and I think that's what matters here. Reclaimer is not an immediate answer to anything. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Let's see if I'm dead. Land drop, Grindstone, activate, does kill me. Okay. I think we're going to go Urza's Saga? Yes, we're going to go Urza's Saga. We're going to stack these like this, give Urza Saga the mana ability, then do this thing, then do this thing. Yes, we'll get another Springheart Nantuko. Life from the Loam will just get me back a fetch land to use my mana here. I'm not even sure if I want to dredge that Life from the Loam. We'll figure that out later. Pass turn. I think I'd rather just draw some sort of Fatal Push style interaction immediately. Taking Painter's Servant off the table opens up my options quite a bit. Alright, goodbye token. No Vexing Bauble Crack there. There's the Vexing Bauble Crack. Opponent did not think it was worth the life. If they had that second Ancient Tomb in hand already, that's understandable. That's a good turn. So, Fury can now kill one of the Springheart Nantukos. The opponent have yet another Orcish Bowmasters? Show it to me if you do. No. Okay. Another Painter. Life's bad! So, I am not interested in dredging here. More Urza's Saga. So, 2 mana to activate, then I have 2 other mana. The following turn, I potentially want to have access to some other mana. While I guarantee this trigger, I am going to go ahead and just fetch. Sure, I'll pick up a Dryad Arbor, and we'll pass turn here. Do you have it? Not yet. Cycle. Goblin Engineer. That represents a Grindstone. Do I have Expedition Map in the deck right now? Negative. Okay, so I can't work my way towards Bojuka Bog. So it's going to be Haywire Might. That is the Grindstone. And then end of turn, we can make our Construct token here. Not dredging. Maze of Ith. Not really what I'm looking for. So 1 and 2. We're going to go fish out Haywire Might. Now this can't answer the creatures, but it can answer the Grindstone. Wait, that doesn't actually do what I need it to do, does it? If I remove the Grindstone, the ability is still happening. Fuck. Lava Spur Boots, not dealing lethal damage here. We're going to get the Haywire Might and hope that my opponent misplays, I suppose, or plays around some stuff. So Saga, make another friend. Go to combat. I'm going to swing the 3/3 in. Need to get the show on the road here. Now, life totals are a thing. There's some more damage. Vexing Bobble means that something like Endurance doesn't save me anymore. So here comes Grindstone. My opponent activates the Grindstone, and this is going to mill me out. I have no way to draw any cards or anything. Let's do a little screw you to the Grindstone on the way out, shall we? And then this Grindstone ability resolves. Unfortunately, the ability is already in play, so we are going to mill out here. And then when we draw a card for turn, we are dead. GG's. Okay, this is a very narrow hand that I probably should not keep. There's very little ability to deviate from what this hand does. I would rather have some ability to cast spells. If I keep Mox Diamond here, I can play double Elvish Reclaimer immediately. I think I'm into that. We'll put this back into the deck. That's better when tutored up later anyway. Fatal Push is probably not bad versus Scalding Tarn in a vacuum. Discard the tapped land here, I believe. Reclaimer number 1. Reclaimer number 2. See if we die to Entomb into Animate Dead or Reanimate. Yes. No. Okay, cool. Cool. That's very good. Black mana? Fuck. Well, we lose this matchup. Just full on, we do not interact versus combo decks in game ones. And Doomsday is hard to interact with, generally speaking, as a card. All right, we do get to take a look at just the general nature of my opponent's deck. We do see Psychic Frogs in here. We see Force of Will, we see Daze, we see Personal Tutor. The ideas Unbound is a little bit uncommon, but not unprecedented. Do I have any weird utility lands here? It's mostly Wasteland. Battlefield tapped, though, is a problem. So yeah, I'll attack for 1, bring my opponent to 8. I can get a Wasteland to help out with this stuff. Opponent going for the Surveil land. A Psychic Frog. You've got it. So, end of turn. Fatal Push, a Psychic Frog. Force of Will, pitching Daze. Not great for me. Now, with the Psychic Frog here, I probably don't deal 6 points of damage. I think I'm going to turn Urza's Saga into Wasteland and hope I draw another Wasteland. Fuck yeah. Alright, Wasteland you. Wasteland you. Fuck yeah. That was lucky. I mean, it was what I was playing towards, but that was lucky. Notably, like a Fatal Push or another removal spell that takes Psychic Frog out of the way accomplishes the same thing. Yep, no, very, very happy to steal game 1 here. So, the game where I'm on the draw is gonna be rough. The ideal is Thoughtseize my opponent, surgically extract their Doomsdays, and then hopefully don't lose to Psychic Frog. Bowmasters are mid. Dismembers for Psychic Frog are mid. You can probably go. My slower cards can probably go. Life from the Loam Wasteland is still something that I am interested in doing. I still think I want the tutorable Maze of Ith. Psychic Frog's an asshole. Like, you have to respect that card. From here, I can probably just do a little trimming. Like, I can kill my opponent with whatever if I don't die. But I'm really drawing on a very small sample worth of cards to not die. I can also play Endurance. It sometimes keeps me from dying. I could trim a land or 2. Maybe don't want to go too crazy with trimming lands. The Bowmasters is a bit much. Having to respect Psychic Frog sucks. Maybe I just make my Urza's Saga tutor package slightly worse. Like, just kind of give up that aspect of it. This is effectively a 1-lander that does not get the landfall value. I'm not into this. I am into this. Fucking hate Psychic Frog. Like, this Fatal Push is not a card I want versus Doomsday, but Psychic Frog is so good that I probably have to just keep it. I don't know, maybe I Thoughtseize the Psychic Frog some portion of the time. Ugh. Underground Sea, pass. Ooh, love that. And now, we can Wasteland our opponent. Or Brainstorm is fine. Now, I will Mox Diamond. I think getting rid of the forest. Thoughtseize you. That was good enough for Force of Will pitching Daze. Sure. I'm going to pass turn there. My opponent may actually want a shuffle for that Brainstorm. So cast this. My land situation is a little awkward. I'm going to play Urza Saga, operating under the understanding that sometimes I end up wastelanding my opponent rather than maximizing Urza's Saga damage. Okay, opponent does not currently have access to blue mana. That's great. That means I can keep doing Urza's Saga things. Endurance is not exactly the perfect draw here. And I think we know that our opponent would have liked to shuffle off of the Brainstorm now. Seems like they ended up Brainstorm locked. Yeah, and we just get to run over our opponent here. Just Urza Saga token into Urza Saga token and just start bashing. We got a little lucky there. Final round. I have a bit of a tough hand here in that this is not fast enough by legacy standards, but if Wasteland is good, I probably buy time for this to be reasonable and get online. This feels a little iffy to me. Misty Rainforest. Go grab an Underground Sea, cast... don't combo me. I'm just a boy. That's weird. That's really fucking weird. I can play Wasteland, have game versus end of turn Surveil land. If I do that, though, I'm never playing this card out. So I think I am intending on playing a Surveil land of my own in this turn cycle. And then hoping that my opponent does something like Brainstorm into Fetch Land, Surveil land, then I can Wasteland a Surveil land. Oh, I'm so afraid of just fucking dying. Like, this could still be like some sort of Storm combo deck on a slightly weird draw. Okay, there's a Surveil land that I can hopefully get rid of. Or it could be some crazy bizarro, like, Hull Breacher, Stompy deck with Ancient Tombs or something like that. Second land drop and passing. Did my opponent keep a 6-card hand or something? Yeah, my opponent did mulligan. No. Right, Arbor, you are not invited. Mox Diamond? Nantuko's not bad, but we've got other stuff going on here. We want to take out just any land we can here. Okay, yeah, no, this is combo for sure. So this is potentially stopping Rite of Flame. This is potentially stopping Dark Ritual. I think black mana is a bigger bottleneck. And accordingly, I think I am attacking the black mana. Black mana can matter in multiples for things like Beseech. Oh, hot damn. We're not dying. Not dying is so good. The next turn, I am going to Life from the Loam and Wasteland Commercial District. What is the play that goes with that? I don't have a Vexing Bauble in this deck, right? Yeah, I don't have a Vexing Bauble in this deck. Dude that hits? Probably dude that hits that threatens to tutor Bojuka Bog. I think that's how we're doing this. But we are living on a prayer here. Minimal agency. All right, mana no longer an immediate bottleneck again. So I'm going to Life from the Loam, but I think I'm going to leave Dryad Arbor in the graveyard because it represents another point of power. So attack for 3 here. 15. Life from the Loam, target Wasteland, Verdant Catacombs. Play Wasteland. Pass turn. If opponent surveils again, they don't. At which point I will take out a land. We're still taking a color away, potentially. Oh my gosh, we're getting away with murder. So hopefully we dredge past another creature here. We do not. So picking up Wasteland is not the best here. So instead, I can cast this with Bestow. Ooh, actually, no. Casting it with Bestow is fine. I'm not going to sacrifice it. So then, land drop, make a friend. Back for 4. Opponent is down to 11. I now have Bojuka Bog represented at instant speed. I can also grab something like a Gaea's Cradle. Here we go. I had no business making it to turn 6, just to be clear here. Dark Ritual. Veil of Summer. That is probably just building Storm. Gotta be some sort of tutor here. It is a tutor. It is Beseech the Mirror. Bracking for black mana. I have on board Bojuka Bog. Tendrils isn't lethal. Opponent could Beseech for a Beseech, junking a Chrome Mox to build Storm. That is Gaea's will. I will respond. Junk the insect token. Grab Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog, target you. Goodbye, graveyard. Hello, game win. I don't think my opponent was supposed to start trying to go off there. All Are they dead on board if they don't try? So I can fetch again. So I have 4, 5, 6 damage incoming of their 10 life. They are probably not dead. Okay, so surgical, not great, but probably good enough when paired with Thoughtseize. Scrabbling Claws, not particularly strong. Bowmaster's a pretty medium tool that I'll probably board in, and I think the same is true of Endurance. Maze of Ith can certainly go here, probably board out at least one of those. I can keep one if I want to be able to protect my creatures, but like, there's not particularly a creature that I want to protect other than maybe Orcish Bowmasters. Every time I board out a land, it makes Mox Diamonds slightly worse. Expedition Map will probably go for being slow. Fatal Pushes can certainly go here. Restrider Lookouts are very slow. Can probably get rid of a life from the loam reasonably and do something that looks like this. A Surgical Extraction and a couple of Wastelands. And I guess a Bojuka Bog as well. This is unexciting. It has a path to victory. I have almost nothing that I can do for the game that I am on the draw if my opponent just goes for a turn 1 win. So we are going to hope that they do not go for a turn 1 win. Or if they do, that I can surgically extract a critical card. Alright, that's awkward. We really wanted them to like cantrip or something. That's fine. Gaea's Cradle. Not ideal. I am going to play out a Wasteland and pass. I do not want my opponent to surveil land right now. Like, I do not want them to push closer to a win. Okay, yeah, so opponent is willing to make this exchange of resources. Oh, wow, and they junked a land in doing so. So hopefully they just, like, fetch and ponder. I get to Wasteland again. Thoughtseize resolves. That takes my surgical. I don't think it's worth surgicaling any of those cards. I do not believe that is worth my 2 life. Okay, we're not dead. My opponent does not have very many cards. This is a, so you're telling me there's a chance situation. I'm going to take Wasteland again to pressure opposing surveil lands and potentially keep my opponent from surveilling and then going off. The downside of playing something like Wasteland is that if I top deck a White of the Reliquary, this is not colored pips towards that card. Uh-oh. It seems like we might be in like a Beseech the Mirror spot or something, or like a Song of Creation. It is a Beseech the Mirror, which can presumably just get Gaia's Will, replay all the artifact mana, and kill me. I haven't mapped out the storm, but it feels like I should die. Or if not die, be on the wrong side of a bunch of goblins or something. Burning Wish with just LED available? Or 3? Oh, are you just going to Galvanic Relay? That's fine, that probably leads to a win. Yeah, it is Galvanic Relay. That is only for 4. Get over to the other side. Okay, that's not super strong. So I am going to attack our opponent's mana here. And I think just clear the graveyard now. There's a lot of shit in there. I do not believe that we beat dedicated combo decks in 2 of our rounds and lost to Fair Stuff. Well, this was a little bit of a strange league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This is a cool deck. I do not believe that I would be willing to, pay a $50 or $100 entry into an event to play this deck, but this is a cool deck. This one gets like the F&M seal of approval. Like, show up to this at your local weekly event. You will probably have a lot of fun playing this. Our games, generally speaking, went fast enough that we did not get our 3-drop online in any of our rounds. And games tended to be won and lost with, tend to be won with like Springheart Nantukos and Iridescent Vinelashers alongside just like Wasteland Life from the Loam. When I think about Legacy, I'm often thinking about like time and the time that it takes to do this, untap, and then start doing something else afterwards is just absolutely massive. Compared to Psychic Frog Attack, Dark Ritual, Doomsday, Dark Ritual into Storm Things, Entomb into Animate Dead. This 3-drop feels very slow. I think it makes sense that there's not a full playset of those. White of the Reliquary was okay today. Not amazing, but okay. Landfall cards were good. This card with Offspring, especially alongside Springheart Nantuko, was cool. And like conceptually, I can see these times where like, oh, I had the early Springheart Nantuko. I used that to get Gaia's Cradle. I now play Offspring off just the Gaia's Cradle. Like, there's a lot of cool moving parts here. Generally speaking, you have a lot of access to Bojuka Bog for the graveyard-oriented matchups with Reclaimer, White of the Reliquary, and Expedition map, searching it up. That's something to like. You have a really good ability to grind if the games go long, but I am really worried about losing the short game with this deck. So thumbs up for fun, thumbs down for competitiveness. Let me know what you think about this one. If you need some cards, toamagic.com, promo code ThrabenU, save you a little bit on your order. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!